For more than a century, the haunting voice of the Iron Horse echoed across the land. From the eastern seaboard, over the seemingly endless plains and through the western mountains, steam locomotives fused a sprawling landmass into a solid nation. Theirs was a call to dreamers of every age, wafting them from humdrum schoolroom or office to fancied adventures on the high iron. Lucky the boy who one day could say he had seen them in action, for by 1960 the age of steam had virtually ended, and the thrill of seeing a mammoth engine at work was to be only a happy memory of childhood. Of all the locomotives in the long history of the rails, one of the greatest was called Big Boy, a name by which the world knew an engine that closed a memorable era in Western railroading. It was the last of the giants. Built as machines to produce transportation, steam locomotives seldom were endowed with grace of line, and then never at the sacrifice of efficiency and power or speed. For those who ran them and serviced them, the 25 engines of our 4000 class climaxed American steam freight locomotive design. So Big Boy was a railroad man's everyday working tool. But it had romantic aspects, too, in the dreams of those grown-up youths who, as bankers or teachers or house painters, secretly yearned to trade places with the engineer in his cab. The sight of Big Boy fighting the grades of Wyoming Sherman Hill was, to these aficionados, a picture more treasured than any in the world's galleries. The shattering sounds from its stacks and the moan of its chime whistle more stirring than any concert hall melody. Rugged and powerful, it was on call around the clock, around the calendar, to ride a trail of steel as it drew bales and boxes and carloads of the world's goods from east to west to east again. Although its evolution began a century and a quarter before the music of this machine ever rang through Utah's Weber Canyon or drummed across the Rocky Mountain Plateau, Big Boy's true ancestors were more recent. Locomotives like Big Boy were products of grueling schedules versus little engines.
This is an engine of war. Long before Pearl Harbor, the American railroads, ever conscious of the gathering clouds of conflict, worked out a plan of unified and immediate action should this nation be forced to accept the challenge of aggression. To their everlasting credit, this careful planning was not to be in vain, for suddenly the infamous blow was struck. And overnight, engines of peace and progress were transformed into engines of war in a conflict unparalleled in the annals of human history. The die had been cast, the decencies of mankind were the stakes, and squarely upon the success or failure of the American railroads rested the fate of the nation, for only that nation possessed of adequate rail transport could hope to survive the ordeal of total war. But did this nation possess adequate transport facilities? Could Santa Fe shoulder her share of the tremendous burden? Would Santa Fe meet the strain of wartime traffic without delay or confusion? Well, as man can best be judged by worth of deed, let us look at the record. When the green light for military movement was signaled on that fateful day in December, The American railroads became the supply lines to the battlefronts, the strong arm of the home front. With a well-trained, determined army of more than 1 million workers, they were of the very first to enlist in the common cause for the duration. The order that came flashing over the wires was short, but to the point. Move all available equipment to military bases without delay.